Good afternoon. I'm Michaela Miller with the Tuesday edition of the Our City COVID-19 News Show. We will be updating you on the latest information and resources around the COVID-19 pandemic while unpacking deeper issues as they emerge. We encourage you to get in touch with us as we welcome contributions from movements, healthcare providers and our audience. We would like this program to have a two-way flow of information. On day 54 of lockdown, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases nationally currently stands at 16,433 with 7,298 recoveries and 286 deaths. The Western Cape has 9,927 confirmed cases, 3,731 recoveries and 165 deaths. The Labour Department has confirmed the Unemployment Insurance Fund has paid out 1.67 billion rand to workers in the Western Cape. This covered 360,000 employees. According to Finance and Economic Opportunities MEC David Maynor, his department, tourism as well as Westgrow have been working around the clock since the economic cluster was formed in March. This included the repatriation of thousands of tourists still in the Western Cape after lockdown was introduced. Activist organisation Hindufunda Nkwazi has slammed the City of Cape Town's approach to the streets, public places and prevention of noise nuisances amendment by law. It said the proposed amendment to the bylaw represented a continuation of colonial and apartheid legislation that removed black and poor people from public places. The amendments would allow an authorized official to forcibly remove people from an area and allow them to stop, enter and search any vessel, vehicle, premises or persons without a warrant. Ndufunda Nkwazi accused the city of sneaking in a participation process during the lockdown, so those most impacted by the proposed bylaw, such as the homeless, sex workers and informal traders, would not have an opportunity to engage with issues directly affecting them. Schools are set to reopen next month, but there is a growing concern about putting teachers and pupils at risk of being infected with the COVID-19 coronavirus should they return. Our City News canvassed parents and teachers for their views on the controversial issue as well as their opinion on the major concerns for their children. This is what they had to say.
To be honest with you, I'm one of those people who want kids to go back to school. But the problem is, one, we're still confused at what is COVID-19, how people must take precautions. As much as the government is trying hard with SMS, with ads on TV, radio, newspaper and all that, still people are still confused on how to go by regarding this COVID-19. So especially now to the kids won't really understand it. I understand it when it comes to high school. At least high school kids will be able to adapt to the changes. But to little kids, tell them sanitize, wash their hands. I know that some of them are learning, but it's still early for kids to go back to school. So Department of Education, work with Department of Health on how you guys gonna curb this. But for now, kids must not go to school.
Should children come back to school? Should my children go back to school? Well, the answer is very simple. It's yes. I believe and feel if schools take the necessary safety precautions, it should happen and it can happen, and there's no reason why our learners' education shouldn't continue.
Honestly, I feel like it's dangerous. I feel that extraordinary measures are going to have to be put in place for it to work and for it to be a safe environment. I'm scared for myself as well because I'm one person and I have 40 learners in my class. I come into a classroom and there's 40 learners from 40 different households. I don't know the safety measures that they're putting in place at their houses. I don't know who they came into contact with, anything like that. And children don't cough and then put their hands in front of their mouth. They don't sneeze into their elbows. They don't do things like that. That is not how they are. They must be reminded to wash their hands when they come from the bathroom and things like that. So I think that as much as I understand that the year is going by and there's lots of work that we are missing out on, I do feel that lots of planning should go into the reopening of schools. It shouldn't be wishy-washy because it's lives that are at stake, and that yes, if everybody just listens and does what they're supposed to do, it could possibly work, but there's definitely going to be an increase in the number of cases, and it's going to be where teachers or learners might get infected at schools because of the numbers of children in a classroom.
A lot of people are not privileged enough to have their own personal transport to take the kids personally to school. You're still going to have kids that needs to either use a bus or a taxi to get to school. And that is the risk. I said, if one of those kids contracted, there's a possibility of their peers getting it. Then what? The government cannot say that they can guarantee the kids' safety. They cannot, to me, they cannot say that. They can try to guarantee it at the school, but my thing is that everybody is not privileged enough with their own transportation to make sure that the kids get to school from point A to point B.
I currently do Zoom calls, which is a really good idea for kids. Obviously, you're not with them physically, but you can send things over file, over chat, you can communicate with them, and this is where the parents obviously steps in, helping them, assisting them when it comes to coloring or things that the teacher cannot obviously do over the call.
Where the curriculum is concerned, I feel like the curriculum is going to have to be revised. So we won't be able to do all the work that was supposed to be done in this year. So revised as in some work taken out and some left out for this year. And then possibly so they're going to have to make adaptations to next year's curriculum so that that work could be fit in for the following year.
Well, I personally feel if obviously the government plans this accordingly and puts all fears to rest and has all protocols in place, I think that they could still salvage the 2020 academic year.
There is an agreement in place to remove people from illegally occupied land, even if it was not owned by the city of Cape Town. That's the word from Mayco member for Human Settlements, Malusi Boy, who was responding to a complaint from a member of the social movement Housing Assembly. Kashifa Ahmad said the city had failed to honor a moratorium on evictions during the COVID-19 pandemic and had demolished structures in an informal settlement in Ocean View last week, leaving people homeless ahead of winter. Boy said the incident was not an eviction and that all spheres of government had an agreement that illegal occupations would not be condoned. Now it's time for an ad break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You're still watching the Our City COVID-19 show on Cape Town TV. Two members of the Western Cape Anti-Corruption Unit have been accused of corruption themselves. The surgeons were arrested in Manenberg after a complaint by an Athlone resident. Police spokesperson Noleso Rueklana said the resident alleged the policeman accused him of printing and selling passports, seizing his laptop and cellular phones in the process. Later at the Manenberg police station, they allegedly asked for money in exchange for his release. Rueklana said the complaint paid them 5,000 rand. The anti-corruption unit investigated the complaint. As lockdown came into effect, we've seen a tremendous decrease in crimes ranging from robbery to assault. But one of the most underreported crimes is rape. We sat down with Joanne Woerdenstein, the advocacy specialist for the Rape Crisis Cape Town Trust, to discuss whether or not there has been a decrease in the calls for help when it comes to victims of rape and other sexual assault crimes.
And welcome to the Our City COVID-19 show. Today I'm joined by Jean Bodenstein, and she is from the Rape Crisis Trust in Cape Town, and we were talking about the impact of COVID-19 on rape crimes. Welcome, Jean, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So as we start this discussion, can you please tell us a bit more about the Rape Crisis Trust and what it is that you guys do?
Sure. So we started in 1976. So this year we'll be 44 years old. And since our inception, what we did is to provide support to survivors of rape. Initially, just through our counseling service, and later we branched out, and now we have 3 different programs that each aims to provide support to rape survivors or advocate for a better criminal justice system.
Yeah.
So we offer face-to-face counseling at our 3 offices, Cape Town, Athlone and Observatory. We also have a 24-hour helpline where people contact us if they have questions. And then we also do provide support for people going to 5 regional courts in the area as court support. And we offer containment counseling at 3 Tutuzela care centers for forensic units in the area. And then we have the advocacy program specifically focusing on improving the criminal justice system for rape survivors.
Yeah. So Jean, before or prior to lockdown, we saw a lot of crimes, ranging from robbery to sexual assault and to rape essentially. But during lockdown, has Rape Crisis seen a decrease in rape crimes or has there been an increase? And what are the statistics to date?
Sure. So it's firstly, rape and other sexual offences is notoriously underreported. So even in normal life, we know that from research that was done in the past 10 years, that quite a small portion of crimes actually are reported to the police. We also know that lockdown has changed people's behaviors. So suddenly priorities have shifted. We have to keep our families safe. We have to make sure that people in our families have enough to eat, that our children are safe and cared for. And so what we suspect is that people are less likely to either report rapes during this time and to access counseling. We have seen a drop in people accessing our counseling service. And we've also seen a drop in people accessing the forensic units at the TCCs where we work. However, more children has come to the forensic unit. So people do bring their children, but we really suspect that people fear leaving the house because of lockdown regulations. They might also fear going to the police station for fear of being arrested. And obviously the transport arrangements are more difficult in this time. So it's not the public transport usually runs don't necessarily run at this time. So people really find it difficult to get to a police station or get to a forensic unit.
Yeah.
I think it's too soon to tell whether it actually means reduced crimes or probably only reduced reporting because of those reasons. But what really is very important is obviously to mention that people can access our counselling service whether or not they've reported to the police.
And we've seen a lot of people now essentially be at home. So what happens to those victims or survivors that actually live with their perpetrators? How do you think they cope? And most importantly, how can they get in contact and cry for help with organizations like yourself?
We launched a WhatsApp number quite recently where people can get in touch with us even if you don't have a lot of airtime or you don't necessarily want to speak, but you want to be in contact with them. So I can give WhatsApp line's number. It's 083 222 5164. And then we also have 24-hour helplines in Afrikaans, English, and Xhosa. I think it's really important also to remember to make sure that you have contact with people that support you.
Yeah.
Whether it's a family member or someone like Red Crisis, and then obviously to do as much as you can to ensure your personal safety. If you are someone that would like to access a shelter, there are a number of emergency shelters in the area, but not everyone chooses that. Some people choose to go to a shelter, and we have to respect that choice.
Yeah. And when we talk about the rape crisis in a whole, John, what are some of the factors that actually contributes to rape crisis and victims becoming or falling prey to sexual assault crimes?
Yeah, so I think what's really important is that rape is in essence a crime of power, right? So most perpetrators are men and most victims are women, and it is in a big sense rooted in destructive patriarchal norms where men believe that they have power over women's bodies. But it's also, some of the drivers are also huge numbers of inequality. The fact that we have a very violent past as a country. And then the fact that for a long time, our criminal justice system actually hasn't provided a deterrent for perpetrators and hasn't provided support for victims. And so largely the issue has really not been addressed and has gone unprotected. And what we're really hard for is to make sure that we have a criminal justice system that provides support to survivors so that they are able to participate until the end of the criminal justice process, and that the criminal justice system does provide a deterrent for perpetrators.
Yeah, and as we see the country going to more relaxed, lockdown regulations and more relaxed stages of the lockdown, and like we mentioned earlier, a lot of people, they don't actually go to police stations during this time because of lockdown. But as we see a relaxed levels, can we expect more people to come forward to report these crimes?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly expect an increase in people accessing our services. And I think it would be fair to probably expect an increase in reports to police stations because as the lockdown relaxes, people's priorities begin to shift again. And we have to understand that that people really try to do the best for themselves and their family.
Yeah. Last question, John, can you just give us your information one last time so that we can have it at the bottom of the screen so that people and victims can know that they can access your facilities when they need help?
Sure. So I'm going to give you 4 numbers. The first is our WhatsApp line again. It's 083 222 5164. And then our English helpline is 021 447 9762. Our Xhosa helpline is 021 361 9085. And then our Afrikaans helpline is 021 633 9229.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the viewers of Cape Town TV for watching. And please get in contact with the Rape Crisis Trust if you feel that your life is in danger and also you need your voice to be heard. Thank you so much for joining us.
Ayanda Nabe has interviewed the Municipal and Allied Trade Union of South Africa's Kurt Ziervogel for a deep dive into the conduct of local government during the COVID-19 crisis and lockdown. This is what they discussed.
Hello, my name is Anda Nabe and welcome to the show again. Today I have today I have a trade unionist. He's from Matusa. His name is Kurt Zirfochel, the General Secretary of Matusa, and he'll be talking to us about what is actually happening on the ground in relation to COVID-19. And of course, Matusa focuses on local government, and that is what we are here to, that is what we'll be hearing today. Kurt, hello and welcome.
Thanks, Ayanda.
So, is there anything you'd like to correct or reintroduce yourself as?
No, Ayanda, I'm the General Secretary of Matusa. While we concentrate a lot on local government, which is our main focus, we also have a number of private companies who are where we organize. So it's not just the local government sector.
So Matusa operates at national level, but also you have an office in the Western Cape, am I correct?
That's correct. Our head office is Western Cape, and we've got another office in Mafeking in the Northwest Province.
All right. Just to get to the point, as you've been moving around and as the General Secretary of the Union, what are some of the concerns that you've been having or you've been getting from your members as a trade unionist?
Yeah. Ayanda, prior to us deciding to embark on this road trip, we've been receiving a number of complaints, and it's very basic complaints in relation to the provision of PPE, where municipalities, surprisingly enough, just ignore, health and safety when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic that the country is facing. Now, our problem started off with municipalities wanting to sneak in a few things that were not part of the declared essential services as such. Very quickly, they had to backtrack on that when we pointed out that these are not essential and so on. But in any event, last Monday, we visited the Bergrivier municipality as well as the Sultana Bay municipality. Now, coming to Bergrivier, we went to the founder of offices that was opened under level 4, under lockdown level, this level 4 business. So it was opened, we went in there and we inquired firsthand from our members. When we got there, there was no screening taking place. So you're aware of the screening that must take place, that there is a register for all the staff.
Yes.
And that is in the event somebody is indeed maybe measured a bit high and then sent to a doctor, and that somebody comes back positive, you are then able to trace who was, in the building on that day.
Yes.
So if there's nothing happening like that, it means you cannot trace. So that was our first concern. In fact, they did not have the necessary measuring tool. There was a law enforcement officer sitting outside giving out sanitizer. There's a few lines drawn on the floor just to determine the measurement for social distancing. But when I inquired from staff as to whether the place was sanitized and that, they could not say because they had just arrived at work on that day. So for all intents and purposes, we then declared that the place had not been sanitized.
All right.
Be that as it may, we followed a truck that belonged to the municipality. And this truck was an ordinary flatbed truck with 3 workers hanging on the back. And of the 3 workers, only 1 had a mask on and 2 actually had gloves on. Now, they were hanging on the tailgate, and the truck was filled with refuse. So they had obviously come from removing household refuse. We then followed them right onto the dump site where the transfer station is, where they get offload.
Yes.
When we got to the gate, there was somebody at the gate with a control book, some sort of a control book, no mask, no sanitizer, nothing. And this place is open to the public. So every time a member of the public comes to the dump site, the book is handed to that person. That person completes whatever is required, hands it back to the person. So there's that interaction all day long with no sanitizing taking place.
Yeah.
So that was what we
So, but did you
then went to
engage?
where they were then
Did you manage to engage the
offloading
workers
the
themselves?
truck. So they pull up alongside a skip bin.
Yeah.
Yes, that's precisely what we've done. We managed to get all this information from the workers. We then went to another alarming thing that we found. When we pulled into Veldre, there was a roadblock.
Yes.
And it was manned by the traffic guys, but to our dismay, they were traffic and fire personnel. Now, I don't know what a fire person was doing on a roadblock. In any event, they just about had their masks, and that was it. So we then wrote to the municipality. On the same day, we wrote to the municipality. And we also then wrote to, because there's a Department of Labor office,
Yes.
Friedenberg, which is about 20 kilometers away, we then engaged the Department of Labor as well.
Yes. And so what did the Department of Labor advise? I mean, one is curious to know.
Pointedly so, the Department of Labor was not there.
It was not
No,
open?
they passed it on to the inspectors that specifically deal with this COVID health and safety issues. Pardon? So to date, we have received no news that they were there. What we have, however, received from the municipality was a response to our letter, which was an acceptable response, to say the least, pardon. And that they had engaged the Department of Labor, who had given them an extension to have all these things in place. So without our knowledge, I don't know if it was prior to us getting there or not. But the Department of Labor had given them a time to obtain this temperature testing tool and see that everything else is in place.
Yes. So are those the only cases that you've come across so far?
Prior to that, I had to intervene. No. I just want to finish on Veldre. Just on Friday, we had to intervene because there's some confusion as to whether somebody was tested positive or not at the Veldre office. And then somebody of the Pakketberg office left Veldre, interacted with the Veldre office and then went back to Pakketberg. By about 4 o'clock Friday, the employer had done nothing yet. So just today it was reported to me that both offices have now been closed and they're sanitizing and testing all the staff that that might have come into contact with this possible positive person. There's so much confusion around that. But in any case, we're just glad the office is closed and
but if at least one could say that the municipality,
people are being tested.
One would say then that the municipality had a positive response upon realizing that, there's a problem, they close the office and they're sanitizing it. Of course, one would always blame them for not taking the precaution, the necessary prescribed precaution, okay? So what are some of these challenges? Unfortunately, we don't have much time, Comrade Jumbo, as you'd prefer to be called. What are some of the challenges that you have experienced or that workers have advised you on?
Ayanda, it's basically the provision of PPE and the issue of sanitizing. Then we went to another municipality, which was Drakensberg municipality. We found the same problems at Saldanha Bay municipality. Sorry, man. I seem to have something in my throat. We found the same problems in the PPE that they were given. I contacted the officers of Saldanha Bay municipality I swore they could show me, how they have been distributing and all the managers signed, but we said, your managers can sign for receipt of the PPE, but it's not reaching workers.
Yes.
So workers are being left in the dark. I don't know if management is sitting with the stuff, keeping for themselves or what.
Yes.
So that was the issue around Saldanha Bay. I must say Saldanha Bay, they actually give their solid waste workers, they're getting some sort of tablets, we don't know what it is, and then they're getting the questionnaire, but there's also no screening. Mm-hmm. The municipality's response to us was mind-boggling. Said, sorry, we have somewhere in Imatu here, and they're taking care of all the health and safety problems. They don't understand that Matusa is a registered trade union, and you need to, when we raise something in terms of health and safety, you can't tell us that Samu is there and Imatu is there, mm-hmm. and that they are doing, and that they are, their contribution is sufficient to the health and safety problems. We can never accept that, where we have members, as we were done away. But I put it down to the municipal manager who comes from a little town called Prince Albert, where there's only 80 municipal workers. He's now come and he's taken over a municipality with 1,500 workers. So I think the moment is too big for him. He doesn't know what he's doing. Be that as it may, we went to Drakensberg.
Comrade Kurt?
Yes?
I'm going to ask you to really summarize your input right now because we do not have much time. So one would want to know where you went, what is the issue, and just kind of ride on rather than really go into detail. We are really running out of time, Comrade. Yes.
Okay, at Drakensberg was the...
I think we have a problem with sound. Perhaps we should leave it there. I'm sure we'll get more update on your Twitter. We've seen quite a lot of activity on your Twitter page. And maybe the viewers of this show could also visit your Twitter page to find out what are some of the findings that you've come across and what has been the response from the different municipalities. But for the purpose of this show, unfortunately, we've come to the end of it. And we apologize for the poor sound. At home, please remember to tune in again. And you as the employer, remember that workers should not feel like they're taken to the slaughterhouse, but instead are working for an employer that is very sensitive to their need and aware of their rights. And from me, Ayanda, it's goodbye.
Coming up after the break, Stephanie Pitt will update you on the latest social media.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Our City COVID-19 show. I am Stephanie Pitt. President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his capacity as African Union chairperson, addressed the World Health Organization during its 73rd virtual conference on Monday. He detailed the ground Africa has covered and during the pandemic and highlighted how COVID-19 is affecting the continent.
Thank you. I would like to welcome this opportunity to address the World Health Assembly. We are in the midst of the most serious public health emergency our world has experienced in over 100 years. Containing the coronavirus pandemic has dwarfed all other issues facing the international community and individual countries. The pandemic has profound social, political, economic, and security implications for all of us. It is impacting on human health, the economies of all affected countries, and the livelihoods of millions of people. Although the virus has affected both developed and developing countries, it is the poor who suffer the most. The pandemic has highlighted the dangerous and growing inequality that exists between countries and within them. the healthcare systems of many countries are struggling to cope. Some have been weakened by underfunding and neglect. Others are under pressure because they were designed to serve the select few. The pandemic has devastated the livelihoods of millions of people in many countries. The global recovery depends on our ability to accept the reality that this virus will be with us for some time and that we need to prepare to adapt accordingly. The social distancing, hygiene, and other protocols recommended by the World Health Organization must become part of our everyday lives. Africa affirms its full support for the World Health Organization, which has been key in guiding the international response to the pandemic. The World Health Organization has been instrumental in providing guidance and support to African governments. Africa is extremely vulnerable to the ravages of this virus and needs every possible support and assistance. The African Union has taken very deliberate steps to respond to the scourge. The African Union has made a call for developing countries to be assisted in their efforts to combat the pandemic and to rebuild their economies. This assistance needs to include debt relief. It also needs to include assistance with regard to diagnostic and therapeutic medical supplies. To turn back the frontiers of the pandemic, we must also deepen international collaboration as well as solidarity around issues like research and development and investment. We fully support the initiative by the World Health Organization together with many other governments in assisting the developing countries. For its part, South Africa is participating in several research initiatives. We must ensure that there is equitable access to medical equipment, technologies in all respects. In this final decade towards the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, we must press ahead with our goal of making universal healthcare a reality for all the people of the world, and no one must be left behind. The virus has demonstrated the essential value of universal health coverage, and this is where we need full solidarity. Let us continue to be bold and courageous in confronting this pandemic. Let us continue to collaborate and act in solidarity in the interest of the millions of people around the world. I thank you.
The president of the World Health Assembly, Kiva Bain, addressed issues pertaining to the coronavirus on Monday. Bain called for global action and cooperation amid the COVID-19 pandemic. This is what she had to say.
The public health community has faced challenges in the past. Global health issues transcend national boundaries and governments and call for action on the part of the global forces that determine the health of people. However, at no time in our recent memories has there been such a global impact of a disease, placing the lives, livelihood, and learning of so many in peril, disrupting supply chains, and bringing economies to a grinding halt. Statistically, in terms of numbers, the burden of COVID-19 has risen to over 4 million confirmed cases and close to 300,000 deaths in all 6 regions of the World Health Organization. In the wake of COVID-19, we have witnessed stock markets tumbling, unemployment rising in historic highs, conditions in fragile settings exacerbated, and peace and social cohesion threatened. Over the centuries, global action has yielded countless successes for global health, improving not only longevity, but also the quality of life. Ancient Babylonian civilization herald the sewage systems designed to protect water supply from contamination and disease. The discovery of pasteurization in the 1860s was a turning point in securing the safety of food supplies. The post-World War II era gave the global health community the tuberculosis vaccine. The past 25 years have witnessed a particularly golden era of unprecedented health achievements. Child mortality cut by 47%. Maternal mortality reduced by 45%, and reversals in the spread of HIV and AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. This era of COVID-19 ushers in new technology. It requires new knowledge, new innovations, flexibility, meaningful, respectful country interactions, as well as new and greater global partnerships. The role of the World Health Organization in this time of crisis reminds us that we live in an interdependent and interconnected world, where health and well-being are shaped by circumstances, decisions, and events occurring in distant places. Bacterial and viral threats travel almost as quickly and unencumbered as email messages, Twitter, and money flows. The World Health Organization must be steadfast in guiding the response to COVID-19, and at the same time, exact a balance with its mandate to meet the challenges that threaten the survival of many people, including those with chronic non-communicable diseases. The mere nature of our explorative spirit and our humanity suggests we will overcome these challenges. We will find solutions to these current realities that confront us now and in the aftermath of COVID-19. We will embrace new lifestyles that promote good health. We will repurpose and maximize our resources. We will establish a new balance between the economic, the physical, and the psychological welfare of our citizens. While we have lost a generation of elder citizens and those with comorbidities due to COVID-19, we must be resolute to preserve those who are with us. Juggling the health welfare with the social and economic pressures confronting us signals the complexity of the moment. But we are up to the task. Successfully negotiating COVID-19 and the post-COVID era requires that we shift, we recalibrate, and make key investments. It requires that we invest more in new technologies which are accessible to the majority of the people, that we take measures to protect the most vulnerable during the epidemic, and that we address the economic aftermath of worsening inequities. I salute the millions of healthcare workers who valiantly stood in the gap as we fought the spread of the virus and its impact on the global community. Some lost their lives. Others endured substantial emotional and mental strains. But all continue to give their best for mankind.
And now for social media. Share your thoughts with us on Facebook via Our City CT and on Twitter at Our City CT. These are the popular hashtags on Twitter today. Angie Mutsecha. The Basic Minister of Education is sitting in the middle of a country-wide debate on whether learners should return to school. Some advocate online learning, but more point out that not everyone has the facilities to do so. Tricky position for the minister to be in. Hashtag Trump. The US president has claimed he is taking hydroxychloroquine as an antidote for COVID-19 despite recommendations from scientists around the globe that says it proves to be dangerous, especially to those with heart disease, which Trump has. After the ad break, Michaela Miller will share information of resources and places of safety that you can use during this period. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Our City, the COVID show with me, Michaela Miller. For your latest news around the COVID-19 pandemic and to see what other Cape Townians are doing to keep safe, tune into Cape Town TV Daily. These are some organizations helping communities stay safe during this period. That's all we have for you today, but if you have something to say, we want to hear from you. Send your comments, news and questions to us via Facebook at Our City CT, on Twitter at Our City CT, or get in touch with us via email on ourcity@capetowntv.org. You can also call us on 021 448 0448. From me, Michaela Miller, and the Our City News crew, have a good week. Goodbye.